I'm just going to give you a couple of tips for when you sell your car. G'day. On my recent video about buying a used car, I mentioned a few key points that are relevant when you're selling a used car. But this particular video, short video, I'm just going to give you a couple of tips for when you sell your car. Now, surprisingly, one of the most obvious things that people don't do all the time is make sure that your car looks presentable, or as presentable as you can, when it comes time to list it for sale. Obvious things like give it a vacuum and a wash. I know it's sometimes hard as time goes on if you haven't sold your car to keep it clean, but at least make it presentable. I actually excel at detailing cars. Used to do it with my Corvettes, etc. I've got a little bit lazy in recent times, but anyway, when it comes time to selling, you do want it to look presentable to the buyer or prospective buyer. Another obvious tip when you're selling your vehicle: give it an oil change beforehand. Nobody wants to pull the dipstick and find that it's filthy black oil, unless it's a diesel, which you come to expect, because generally that will give the justifiable impression that you're not real good with the maintenance of the vehicle, so that's not going to be a key selling point for you. Personally, what I do, I tend to keep all of the receipts for each vehicle, for servicing costs, whatever, parts I've had to buy, and I keep those in a big manila folder or envelope. And basically when I do sell the vehicle, I hand the whole lot over to them. Not that most people, I mean, I actually find it interesting, but most people probably will never look at those. But at least they know you are honest and you have spent money, etc. on the vehicle. My suggestion, whether you are buying or selling a vehicle, is be honest in your dealings. Now, I actually hate selling cars. You know why? Because the world's biggest group of idiots come out to buy cars. And when I say that, I'm talking about you get the most ludicrous people approach you sometimes. And depending on the vehicle, like I know when I sold my, when I had for sale my fully customized one-off in the world 1980 Corvette, one guy came and he literally spent 2 hours talking about his history and Corvettes and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, man, I've given up 2 hours of my time for this. I mean, by all means, be friendly to everyone, and as you should be in every dealing in life. But you also have to have a cut-off and realise that, as it was the case with this guy, he went away saying, oh yeah, I'll just check with my bank to make sure I've got the money. It was a considerable asking price. Turns out he didn't, so yeah. There's a reason people say no tire kickers in their ads when they're frustrated with people like that. Anyway, be polite, but yeah, if it's becoming obvious to you that they're just there to look at the vehicle, well, you know, remind them that you do have somewhere to be shortly. And you have to understand, like I pointed out in my how to buy a used car video, people need to have a thorough look at the vehicle, of course. Be honest if they ask you a question about the vehicle. This is my opinion. If someone says, has there been any body repairs, you know, has there been rust, I'd be inclined to say yes, and I had it fixed, whatever. But don't lie. Never lie and say, oh no, it's never had this, that, or the other wrong with it. If it has, because they'll find out anyway. And look, even if you've sold the car, you still have to live with the fact that you lied to someone. And that can come back and bite you. Another big thing, when you finally do take a deposit for the vehicle, I'm not sure if this is law, I think it may be, but certainly it's a smart and credible thing to do. Lock the vehicle up, that's it. Don't use the vehicle again until they come back and pay the full amount, write them out a receipt, etc. Because basically that's a holding deposit they've given you, which means hold the vehicle. And that obliges you not to go driving, you know, 1,000 k in it. Don't go using it. It's essentially their vehicle almost. Would you want someone to use your vehicle? Anyway, that's just a couple of tips. Pretty obvious ones, but surprisingly, a lot of people don't do those things. Okay, cheers. And if you haven't seen the other videos I've mentioned, there'll be a link around somewhere. Bye for now.